Welcome to Plaid Studio. Hi, I'm Donna Dewberry, the original creator of the FolkArt One Stroke painting technique. Today we have another Let's Paint FolkArt One Stroke hometown lesson. We have been doing lessons all year long. Every month we come out with a new lesson. We've done homes and churches and a barn. And guess what? Today I thought, let's look out a kitchen window. What would we like to see? I thought, let's put a hanging basket full of geraniums and morning glories and even a hummingbird. Doesn't that sound fun? Well, today we're going to have a great kit to work with. I want to share with you that Plaid's put together a kit that has all the elements you need to paint all the projects all year long. We have worksheets, reusable worksheets, where you're going to practice each time we have a lesson, all 12 of them during the year. And it will teach you the flowers and the strokes that you're going to need, along with having the worksheet, which is like me being at home with you. You also have this video so that you can work together to make this happen right there in your own home studio. All right, so I'm excited to start painting in the studio today. So why don't you come and join me to paint our beautiful basket. All right, so we're gonna do our July project. I've got my worksheet from our hometown kit, and this is July's worksheet. It's gonna tell you step by step, like I'm at home with you, what we're gonna do. But guess what? You have these wonderful videos that are gonna take you through every step to get our painting done today. We also have the list of paints. I like to tell you to keep these in your hometown kit and then pull them out, because those are the same colors you're gonna use all year long for our projects. We have our floating medium, we have our brushes that we're going to use, and then we start right here on backgrounds. All right, so what I want you to have is, it's great to have a double loader so you're ready to go. And I've got my teaching guide, my reusable teaching guide. I've got all my luscious colors. These are wonderful. These are my go-to paint, which is the FolkArt multi-surface paint. And the satin, beautiful finish. It's creamy. It feels like butter when you're stroking with it. And the best part of it is it has a sealer inside, so you can paint on glass, metal, ceramic, outdoor, indoor, canvas. We just have lots of fun and have the paints right there for you to use to do our project. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is there's layers of this painting. We're going to start back where you see those clouds, and I'm going to come forward. And I'm going to teach you step by step by step how we're going to build this design so that it makes sense to you. All right. So I'm going to put this project up there first, so you are sample, and then I want you to see what happens here. Now, what I did first is, this is just a traditional 11 by 14 canvas. And what I've done is I've taken and I've used painter's tape. Now, what you do with the painter's tape is you measure how far around you want to go all the way around. So I did just like a half of an inch, and it went all the way around. So it did roll the standard tape just a little bit. If I did the whole strip of tape, it would cover too much of the center. But what this is going to do is going to give you the window pane, okay? And so I just leave it the white that it is. And then I put this back here so I could show you. What I've done is I taped it, and what you do is you take your fingernail, or you take an old room key, or a hotel room key, or a charge card, and you push this all down really well along here. That's the first thing, because then after you take your brush, I'm going to show you the blue that I made, and I just went right onto my tape. So then immediately, you don't sit and let this dry for a while, guys. You pull it off immediately, and you get a really nice finish without any bleeding underneath the tape, okay? So that, I'm just going to act like you've never painted before when I'm sharing this with you, okay? All right, now I do have a little piece of tape here that's still on. Okay, so right here, we finished pulling that off. And what we're going to do is I want to show you how I made this color, okay? I'm taking white And then I'm grabbing a little bit of Prussian blue. Please don't try to put your white in your Prussian blue because you'll use the whole, your wicker white. You will use the whole bottle to try to get this blue color if you use all that white. All right. So I mixed the color and shade I want. All right. Now I don't want it too dark because it looks like a storm. I don't want it too light because then my clouds won't show. Okay. So I just went across here and it's got a little bit of streaks in there. You see that? A little bit of streaks, and I kind of like that look, so it doesn't bother me. And just want you to know that I have it taped. Then I make my blue and cover all the tape, pull the tape off as soon as I stroke the paint, so you have a nice clean edge. And then I'm ready to, I let that dry, whether I use my hair dryer to dry it or I just let it air dry. And then we're ready to do our clouds. Now, when we're doing our clouds, we're going to take a couple of things here. I want to take my chalk before I do my clouds. And I want to share with you that we're going to find the center of this canvas. Now, it is 11.5 by 14, so it would be 7 inches. So right here, 7 inches. And I'm going to put that in a couple of spots, just so that we're ready. Okay, then we're going to go this way, and so it's 5 1/4. Let's see, where are we? Okay. So we're going to come across here and get just a ballpark of where the window panes would be. And this way we're able to put the curtains in and the basket. Okay, I'm going to come over a little bit more. Now the bird, the hummingbird, and the basket are gauged by where the curtain is, okay? So if you look at this, my curtain on here is, where are we at? Right here. My curtain's 3.5 inches. All right, so I'm just going to come across here 3.5 inches, and that's where the curtain's going to go. Now the reason the curtain's going to go right there, and it's going to come below here, below the cross mark here, where the pane's going to be. Okay, so we're going to come down here and across. Now what's going to happen here, this looks like it's not quite centered there. There we go. What's going to happen is my bird's going to come up here and it's going to go behind this curtain a little bit. But what I want to do is figure this basket. Now the basket comes up from this window pane by a little 4.5 inches. Okay, so 4.5, then it's almost to this pane, the stile in the window. I keep saying window pane. It's the stile that's in the window. What I did do is I put my fingers here, and it's about 3 fingers. And then I'm going to come over here, and this hung over about 1 3/4 right there. So here's the basket. All right. I can do that one more time. It's 2 inches. Okay, right here. All right, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to take this and curve it to the sill. And then I'm going to come turn it this way and curve it to the sill. All right, so you decide if you like this shape right here, the shape of this basket. Now, all of this is behind the curtain, remember? Kind of goes like that, but you can see it, so we are going to put that there. We're going to come about right there. See all these chalk lines? They're going to help you lay out the center and to be able to know where everything's going to go. And right here, we're going to take and make the back hangers of this hanging basket. Okay, we don't want to put the front ones because they're going to go, the flowers will go all on top of it. All right, so really easy. What we're going to do at this point, so you got your curtains, you've divided up your windows so you can judge where things go. And here's your basket. And we're going to scruffy this, and it tells you right here for the planter to go there and get your scruffy brush. All right, this is a little damp. We want it dry. Okay, we're going to pounce some yellow ochre and some burnt umber. All right, so one thing I did is I came across here and a little bit this way, and a little bit this way. Now I'm going to go straight across here. All right, so I just make a little bit of a circle, guys, to fill this in. All right, where is this? There we go. All right, so we got our shape in there. Now we're going to take, and I picked up a teeny bit of white, and I'm going to go all around here. Pounce your burnt umber. Okay, before I go any further, I want you to see, I want to move this with a wet, flat brush. I want to move the scruffy off of that windowsill, or the window style right here. Okay. Now, this is pouncing a little bit because we're on a wrap canvas. This is a scruffy brush, and I always use this dry. I want you to see that I'm just pouncing. This has got a wire basket that's going to be holding it, and we're going to do a pretty design on that wire basket. But remember, you can do your own design. This is just one I found that's pretty easy to repeat. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm through with this, so I can go ahead and pounce the scruffy into my basin, and I want you to see what happens here. By the time we put everything on here, all the wrought iron and all, you just see little bits of it. All right, so we want to fluff our scruffy and have it ready for the next time we use it. And there we go. All right, so next thing, I looked here, and this iron hanger there is out too far. So let's go back here and come straight up. There we go. All right, and there is one more that's going to go back here. It's going to go right in here, okay, at an angle, and the other one comes right in front. All right, so before we go any further with that, I did decide where the curtain was. You saw that. And I'm going to go dry this for a few minutes, and we'll be right back. Now that you see where this is going to go in the hangers, I'm going to move some of this away so that you can paint your clouds in. And we will be ready to go to our next step. So we're going to take a 12. You can do scruffy, by the way. That's why I cleaned this up. You can do scruffy for clouds. But let's look over here. I showed you some clouds that you can just do with the corner of a 12 flat. But I do have the scruffy available too, where you're going to just pick up, pounce some of that out. And look, we're going to you can just do little bits ever so lightly. See, the top is really strong and the bottom's light. And you're not going to see much of this, just little feathery parts of it. But this is one way with the scruffy, okay? And I can take some of this off. I can take some of it off if it's a little too heavy. Got lots of painting that's going to go in there, and leaves. All right, so I'm going to get some floating medium and show you another way to do clouds. So whichever is comfortable for you. This one is just making circles. Circles at the top. Then a little bit lower circles. Okay. And this one is using floating medium and little bits of white. And you just pick up white to get what shade, how much you want as you're going here. So I'm just doing the top edge. All right, I can pick up a little bit more white and do another row in here. All right, a little bit down here. So try them both. It's kind of fun to see which way you'd like to work. And then at the bottom, it gets really soft and smoothed out strokes at the bottom, okay? All right, so that's going to fade, and you're just going to see a little bit of it, all right? And so I'm going to go dry this, and we'll come back in just a minute and be ready to go to our next step. Okay, so I'm going to put the wrought iron that holds all your filler into your planner. So this wrought iron needs to touch each other so that's like welded together. And we can put these little guys up here. So if this is the wrought iron that's going to hold it up, like I showed y'all before, and there's one at an angle. Those are all in back. All right, so then I'm going to, let me go ahead and take this off so that I just put that there. I need to leave it off for a little bit. Now to put the ironwork on here, I put one on this side and then one on this side. And they need to kind of touch right there. But what I found that was easy is to do this little shape. I scooped one going this way and the other one coming back into it. And it's just like it is on the teaching guide and right here on the sample if you're looking. So the idea of building on these is you just need to put the next one, but when you're painting them, make sure they touch. Just not, they don't have to touch here in the middle. They need to touch another piece of ironwork. All right, so then I just kept working this way. And lots of flowers and things are in and planted in here, painted in here. So you won't see all of that. But as you're working around, I go ahead and paint it just in case it peeps through. All right. So we're going to come right here. All right. And another one right here. All right. So if we get that much, then we're going to be able to go in and add all the greenery and stuff here. So what I want you to see under the planner is going to tell you that after you did your bowl shape and let it dry, then we're going to take a medium gray mix and then do all the ironwork scrolling. All right. So here it is. So you can actually load your liner brush and take your licorice and white. We got to put some licorice out here and get that medium gray tone. All right, so there's wicker white and licorice until we can get a nice color here. 2 script liners, what we're going to use. And see, I just don't want it that solid licorice color. So I'm going to get some water, not medium water when we're using the script liner. I'm going to roll my brush in it. Now after, you can see after I did this, I'm going to go 1, 2, you can wrap this the same way, and then you're going to go all the way around and try that a few times so you feel comfortable. And then what you're going to see is that I either did a lighter gray, or what I did on here is I put a little bit of licorice as a second accent on here. But the first thing we're going to do, you're going to wipe this off after you practice it. All right. The teaching guide's right there to help you. Just make sure you wipe them as you go, okay? So let's look at this. Let's come down here. Let's put this right here. And you can put your teaching guide right in front of you to remind you. I'm going to have one here and one here. I'm going to add just a little bit more white to it. I want it dark enough that it shows, but light enough that it has a lighter tone. And then if I put a little bit of licorice on it, there we go. It will have a nice accent. All right, so we're just going to go around and do all those. So do one curve in on both sides, and then go all the way around. This reminds me of our lettering. Okay? like I said, even if this doesn't really show much up here, please do it because it might peep out and show just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go right here and right here. And then remember, I want you to touch those two because that's going to help it be soldered together. All right, one. And the chalk, you have to wait for this totally dry and then remove the chalk. But please don't go try to remove the chalk before this all gets wet, dry. Because then you will have a mess. Okay? So I thought this was fun. You can do any kind of scroll work you want. This was just a simple one that I've done before, and I thought it'd be easier for a newbie to pick it up, be able to do that. All right, so I can get a little bit more water, roll it in. All right, so I'm trying to keep these all about the same size. They don't have to be perfect. Like I said, leaves are going to all hang down and cover some of it. Okay, now I'm going to turn this sideways and see that one right there? I'm going to try to move this one right here so it's going to look just like that one over there. All right. And then we'll do the one on top here. All right, just make sure it touches. It's got to touch that wrought iron. Okay, so when this is all done, I just want you to see, in case I forget to tell you right here. See, this got darker right in here because I came in there and shaded a little bit of that darker gray to make it look like it's rolled under instead of flat. I have a little bit of that shading there, but it looks good to do it again at the end. And then I'm going to float some blue in here, so I'll show you that at the end. All right, so what I want to do now is get these back hangers on here, okay? So we're going to roll some of this. We're going to touch right here and come straight up, as straight as you can get. That's not too straight. Chisel edge of a 12 might be easier for you, but that worked. A little bit here. And the chalk just helps you go right to where you want to go to, which should be right there. Okay, right here. I just go over it a couple times so it's really strong. And, all right, now the curtain doesn't cover that little spot right there. So I'm going to go right in the middle, and I'm going to come straight down here. Not straight, but at an angle. All right. So I'm tempted to put a paper towel, and I always tell y'all don't do that. I'm going to take a wet brush and clean it up. Okay. Now this one does get covered by some of the flowers and leaves. I did that on purpose so I could teach you what to do there. I left water there instead of drying it up, and then it bled. So you just wipe it off. Pick it up and wipe it off, okay? I'm going to let that dry a minute. But see, I tell you not to take off these chalk lines. But look at me. I go take it off. But don't. If you don't do them, it'll be better. Won't make a mess. All right, so I'm going to touch that up in just a minute. But what I want to share with you while that's drying is let's draw our hummingbird. All right? Now, this hummingbird's very teeny. Can you see it? And I made it a little bit bigger on the worksheet than it's going to be. It's about half the size bigger. This is a little bit smaller, but not as small as that. Now, the reason I did that is I want you to see very clearly the strokes to make him. All right? And he's a little bit fancier than some of the ones, my beginner traditional ones. But I want you to see that here's the curtain out here. All right? And so I'm going to bring his body right up here. I did 4 fingers from the very top, and I'm bringing his head, and then I'm taking his body down. So here's a little bit of his head, and then his beak is going to be out there, and we're going to come across for the face and take it on out. So he's little. He's actually going to go behind this curtain a little bit. All right, now what's going to happen here is this wing's going to go up and this wing's going to show. All right, and then this wing that goes in front is going to go right underneath that curtain. Okay, so, and the tail's going to go in here too. So just remember this. We're going to take this on around and the tail goes back here. So if you do it with the chalk, it makes it really easy. And we're going to put a little bit of a beak out there. All right. So I want to work on that bird just for a few minutes. And then we will come in here and do some vines with the morning glories and be ready to go practice those morning glories. Okay. So they're right here for you. So let's bring this here and let's look at these strokes. So we're going to take a 12 flat. And we are going to pick up our next colors, which is sap green and some apple red. Okay. Sap green and apple red. Now we already have some white and some other shades in here. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to practice right on here. Now, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that sap green, and I had citrus green too, sorry. I need to look at my teaching guide. There we go. All right, so we're going to take citrus and sap, citrus green, sap green, work it in. Okay, and then you go right there to see if you got a nice blend. All right, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to go around the head and make sure it goes in that area and then come down the body. All right, so when you come down the body, you go like this. All right, and then in the front here, it's going to come here. And then we're going to put the white in here. The red's going to go in the neck and then the white. So I'm going to wash this. Pick up some worker white. There we go. See, isn't he kind of nice? So we're putting the white in there. So worker white. And that white's going to come also along here. So if we do our white feathers. And then we come back with the sap green that's going to go right there. And it goes into the white. All right. So what happens is we do the sap green first, right here. We're going to come straight out, just so you know placement. And then we come back, and I'm going to show you the red. We're going to have apple red and a little bit of wicker white. So now I had the red go in here. And pick up the wicker white and come back to it. Okay, just like I was showing you there. But I like the red in the wings there. I think that looks good. So if we put apple red right here. And we put it right where the neck is. All right. So if you practice on here, you're going to feel pretty good about doing this hummingbird in place. All right. So look, the last thing you do is pull the tail up. And I even put some apple red right there in the tail. All right. So all of this is right here for you to practice. And making the bird is really easy if you put it on your piece first. So sometimes I recommend to keep the nice edges, is to come in to keep the shape without the chalk on something small, and is to come in and do your shape with a pencil. Okay. And then when you're putting this piece up, and then this wing, all right, and then the beak. All right, so then what I want to do on here is I want to take that chalk away so that you see where this is going to go. And I think that'll make you happier. It's easier to see. All right. So let's wipe this off so you feel like you've got the plan right here. You put this right. Remember, this is like me being at home with you. You put this guide right there. Read the instructions. It tells you what numbers first, what's next. All right. So I'm going to get citrus green and sap green, and I'm going to work it in. Like I said, on canvas, it's going to go on easier than it did on the teaching guide. All right. So I'm going to come right along here, and I'm trying to keep it small. Okay. And then we're going to come right here. And I'm going to go down the throat just a little bit. All right. Let's get a little bit more of the sap green. And I want a little bit of a curve right here. And then we go to the tail. All right. I want a little bit more dark green sap in here. See, little strokes because they would be feathers. All right. But before I wash my brush, I'm going to go ahead and put this wing straight out here. All right. And then we have to put the red and white in there before we go further. So I'm going to go ahead and put the red and white, the apple red, in there next. All right. So it's going to come right in this area. See, they're just simple strokes. And if you follow those strokes, it makes it easy for you to accomplish this bird. Okay, and there is the back wing. And there's even a little bit of red right in here. And we're going to put some more green back on top of it. Okay, I'm getting a little big on my bird. But I'm going to take this part off right here so you see. Let's don't get that big. Right now is a good time to fix it. I was enjoying my bird. Okay, there we go. Let's make him a little shorter. Oh, I'm looking at this guy right here. This is what we want. We want him right there by us so we see how teeny he is. All right. So we're going to come right in here. Okay. There we go. And then this right here. All right. So let's put some of that white in the tummy, wicker white right here. And we're going to come up. And we take it into the body. And the tummy's just going to come right here. All right, and it also is going to come into the wing a little bit. All right, so let's pick up our citrus and our sap. Citrus green, sap green, and then we're going to come right here and stroke this one back. And see, I paint all that underneath, and even though you're not going to see it, because it's easier to build his body knowing that. All right, and I'm also going to pull his little tail this way. Okay, and I put a little bit of apple red down the back here. Okay, so the next thing that happens is apple red along right here. All right, and we finish it with a little bit of white. So see, those are simple little strokes, wicker white. We're going to touch it here. And bring it all the way around there. Okay, there we go. So a bunch of that's behind the curtain, but for right now, I'm going to put a little bit of this blue right there. Okay, here's the Prussian blue and wicker white. Gives us this nice background color. Okay. Now the last thing to do with our hummingbird is this little beak. And I usually do longer beaks, but this little guy, when I looked at him, he was so teeny. So I'm going to take a little, it's lightly wet, and I roll my little brush, my 2 script liner into it. And I'm going to come out from here. And there we go. We also can put a little bit, I'm going to put this Prussian blue little eye in here. So instead of black, because that'll give us that same look. And I'm going to put a teeny bit of that Prussian blue to take it to that beak. Okay, there we go. All right, so this still, I'm going to dry this just for a minute so we can get going on this. All right, let me put this one little piece of wrought iron right there, now that it's all dry. And then I'm going to dry it and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've dried this and I've wiped off my chalk and I'm ready to like draw back the curtain area of where the curtain's going to be. And remember, I've got 3.5 inches on both sides here. So let's go right here from the edge. All right, so there's 3.5. I got my chalk wet. And there's 3.5 right here. So I'm going to come right across here and right across here. We are going to be about 4 inches. See how close I am? Pretty close. And 4 inches here goes to right there. All right, and at that point is when I come over and over. All right. So that gives you an idea. The curtain, the word home's going to go there. So I think I even came over a little bit more. All right. So I just want that there. So when I'm painting my flowers and all, I'm going to see where that goes. And what's going to happen, just so you see, is that we're going to use floating medium and float the curtains and get that fill. And then keep adding the white floating medium mix till we get enough curtain that it covers as much as we want to cover. But right now, we're going to put the last holder in here after we paint all of our flowers in here. So the first thing I wanted to do was let's go practice the morning glory. All right, so let's use a 12. And we're going to get, let's pull some white over here, and we're going to pick up Prussian blue and wicker white on our 12 flat. Back and forth, back and forth. Let's get some more. Okay. Now what's going to happen is that we want to have a trumpet. So you can see where to start and where to end. So the trumpet goes down and comes back up. All right. So you can practice here to make sure you've got the right blend before you start. All right. So after you do trumpet, which is number 1, then number 2 is going all the way around and getting the shape with the white staying in the middle. Like make sure it's right here in the middle as you're going around, and the wicker white's in the middle, the Prussian blue's on the outside edge. Okay. Now this is the next stroke that's going to go in the middle of this. where you come here and we call it the smile, and then you go out to the side. All right, so to get that smile, we're going to pick up some more of the Prussian blue, and I'm going to go right in here in the middle and come here, get the smile, and then come back. And this smile should line up with the trumpet itself, so you can see all the way in the flower. And then I take and I pull this out into my flower. All right, so it's simple, but it takes a little practice to get comfortable with moving our arm around to make this outside skirt. But when you're doing this side view, we do one layer there, and then we pick up more paint, and you come right on the teaching guide. And I want it to start there and ruffle down in front and back there, and then you're just going to pull this down just like this. All right, and then we put the greenery on here. Okay, one more little flower is the bud. So if you see this bud, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to touch here, push down, and stand up. So if you do 1, 2, 3, and then you put your green calyx around it. See, they're going to go all around it. Then you're going to have the bud. So those are the 3. Then you're going to come with your greens and practice all this greenery, okay? So I'm going to wipe this off, and then we're going to go lay out where each one of these are going to go in the space that we have, okay? So I want to get a little bit of water. I lost my eraser over here someplace. Make sure you have your little quartered eraser so you're ready to go. All right, so this is what I want to do. I want to kind of look at the painting I did do and see way out here I have a morning glory top, which means it needs a trumpet. I have a bud in there, and then way over here I did a half of one. All right, and so you just do a triangle. You do another one, and then down here we have one, and right here we have one. Now this one's just going to be the top of it, like you're looking straight down on it. All right, so we have a triangle design, 1, 2, 3. We also have another triangle here and another triangle here. And then 1, 2, 3 is another triangle. So there's like 4 different triangles to lay out that blue so your eyes catch it as you're looking at it there. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my palette right here, and we've got our double loader where we're picking up the wicker white and some of the Prussian blue. And it's okay to get them super white with just a pretty blue edge. That's pretty too. But I want to show you the first one I'm going to do is up here. All right, and that's going to come down like this. All right, so we have white and blue again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at this edge, guys, and come here, here, and go back up to that edge and pull down. All right, so I will go in here and pull some of these down. All right, and then we'll put calyx. All right, so then let's put some of the trumpets in here. Like over here, we're going to do a trumpet. All right, we get a little bit more blue. This one is going to be another trumpet. I'm going to bring a little bit more blue in there. All right, so that's going out. This is going this way. All right, and then here is another one coming up. All right. All right, so I pick up more white and more Prussian blue, and I'm just going to work it in so I have fresh paint. Now keep your guide next to you so you can keep watching this and making sure you're doing those strokes. All right, it really helps you to have it in front of you. Remember, it's like having me there with you. All right, so I'm going to come around here, and there's other types of morning glories I do, but this is just like a real simple kind of fun shape of a morning glory. We're going to go all the way around. The hummingbird's already been here getting some nectar out of this flower. All right, so we're going to come down here on this one. There we go. I'll pick up some white and blue all the way around. All right, so see, they look like they're hanging right out of that basket. I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to make that smile so it looks like it comes from that trumpet. So see, I come up. Okay, but I pull it up into, this one was pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it alone. All right, so let's look at this guy right here. Because he's kind of hanging upside down, so that's why I turned it this way. All right, so I'm going to come here. All right, and the last one is the one where we see the whole top only. All right, so I have this one coming in a little bit. So it comes here, over like this, and up like that. All right, so I got a little big on that, on this one, but there might have been something back there, but I'm just mostly, I'll do a little bit of one of these so that if it shows through the curtain, you'll see it. All right, and so we'll let that go. Okay, so what we're going to do now that I've put the flower there, so it's going to be behind the curtain, I'm going to go ahead and take off the piece that would be inside the house. All right, so I'm just going to, I wet it, I'm going to wipe it off, and so you still see the flower outside. And I have one more I just saw right here, so let's pick up our colors. Same colors we've been using, and we're going to go around. Here's another one where I'm just doing the face of it, like this guy. But I'm having it looking up instead of this one's looking down. All right. All right, so I'm going to come right here, make the smile coming this way. And we have, I'm going to clean that off and do it again. So that's the beauty. You pick up more paint and restroke it if there's something not like you want, okay? Okay. Now what's going to happen here, I'm not going to even really clean much of that blue out of the brush, but I'm just going to go citrus and sap and work those two in with this number 12 flat. And I did do some, I'll just show you later, I did do some of these where I did the script liner instead of using this 12 flat. Now I want you to see this. I've got to put a bud in here too. I didn't finish that bud, but I want you to see that this is a long skinny stroke, and you do 3 of those around, and here's the bud where you curve one around. And then also, this is where you practice to see if you've got the color right. And then I'm going to just chisel, flat, chisel. And then you pull a stem inside. Push, lift, pull a stem. All right. So I'm going to, well, I've got this color on here. I'm going to do a couple of these. All right, but it might be easier if you did it with a script liner, so I'm just letting you know. All right, and these have, this is going to have a vine. This is going to have a vine. All right, so we're going to come up here with a little bit more citrus. See how pretty that stands out? All right. We're going to do a couple leaves there that really aren't going to show because they're going to be behind the curtain. All right. And we're going to have these little guys come right here. And there will be one right here to the bud. Little chisel. All right, so this guy's going to come around this way. There's going to be other leaves in here, so I'm not going to worry about those. Okay, one more time we're going to do that bud. Okay, right here. We come 1, 2, 3. All right, and then I'm going to show you with the script liner where I'm going to go get the sap and citrus. Okay, and I'm just going to push down and come around. Push down and come around, and you can see that makes for a great bud. All right, so now one of my favorite flowers to paint is that geranium. So these are just going to be little buds in the background. I am going to take my moon yellow and show you that these are going to get little teeny dip dot spots right in the center that makes them kind of pop. See that? Just a little bit. And I'm also, while I'm right here, a couple things I want to do. I want to put a little teeny dot of white. It's going to be too much. A little dot in my hummingbird and a little bit on the beak. You see one little spot on the beak. All right. I also want to come in here with a little bit of licorice. We might see it and might need to be lighter color, but if I come in here, I can put a little bit in here. You might still want to put a little bit of white too. See, just a little bit. All right, just so it kind of stands out. I still think it needs white. All right, what are we going to practice now? We're going to do geraniums. And they can be so pretty. You can do pink ones, red ones. I put a little bit of yellow in it to really add to it. And one of my favorite things is I love the way I do geranium leaves. So I wanted you guys to see that I'm going to pick up the sap green and citrus green. You see that? I'm just picking both colors up. All right. And I want that really rich dark color in the middle. And you can see I'm going to come all the way here. I'm using the 3/4. I use a 12 here. But then you come and turn around and repeat it going back this way. All right. So just so I have control, I better go back to the 12. We've got to stay focused and small. Okay. So let's get citrus and sap. Sap green, citrus green. All right, then I like to put a little bit of white in the citrus. What do you think? A little bit of white will give us some brightness because it starts getting dark down there. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this off here so we can keep practicing. All right, so I'm going to come right here and scrub back and forth all the way. And then I kind of stop and come this way. Okay, now when that totally dries, we put some white here so you could see, but it's just the apple red and floating medium. Because what we're going to do, I'm going to do it up there because that's got to dry. I take floating medium on my 12 flat, and then I pick up apple red. Floating medium and apple red. And what you're going to do is you're going to come in here shorter and come around and get that marking that makes it a geranium. Okay? Okay, we're going to come in here and paint some leaves and then come back. And so I want you focusing just on the leaves. Then we'll come back and do the geranium petals and flower clusters. Okay? So isn't that getting fun? So one of the things is I'd like to leave a space like right in here where I know that I'm going to have the biggest cluster of geranium petals. All right? And then I can put some in between leaves and a little cluster up here. All right? And then those two are what I was worried about because there is some underneath the curtain right there. So other than that, I'm going to just sprinkle in some of these leaves. All right? So I think I need a little bit more paint. All right? So citrus green. Look how creamy that is. Now, this should feel like butter when you're loaded and you're stroking. So remember, smooth, creamy paint. All right? So I am going to grab both colors, and I'm going to come over here and work it in. And I'm going to do that a couple of times to work it in and make sure you have plenty of paint on here. Now, I do like the idea of picking up some white and working that white into that one citrus green corner, okay? So I did one up here. This is where I have the middle style. All right, so let me share with you why I was concerned there. All right, what I want to do is get another paper towel. That's what I want to do. I want to show you that I'm going to put in, this was 14, so here's that, right? 11.5 by 14, so we do 7. So I just want you to see that I'm going to come right here and just show you where that style is going to be. So that when I'm putting the sleeve in here, I held the sleeve over here a little bit more. But I don't want it to hit the hummingbird. All right. All right, a little bit more sap. All right, so I'm going to come right down here. And then I stop right here and come around. All right, so what I want you to be able to see, guys, is that when I'm starting this leaf, let me do one right down here, it is a V. And then you go on this side of the V, and then you go on this side of the V. And you go all the way around. All right, so I have 3 there. I'm going to put another one right in here. So I don't worry if it overlaps just a little bit. All right, and there was one here. I didn't make that far enough apart, so I think I might just put another one right in here. All right, I'm not worried about the flowers going to overlap that a little bit, okay? All right, so then one big one in here, and I think we're good. We're going to spray some little geranium petals around. See, I've got that split there for us. All right, now what I'm going to do is that one leaf that we practiced. It's going to be a longer leaf here. All right, put that one in there, and maybe a longer leaf in here. That would be from the Morning Glories, okay? Go back and look at that if you were worried that you didn't remember. Okay? All right, I want you guys to get this to this point, pause, and go ahead and blow dry this. So I want to do the next step with you so you see how to make the pretty red trim inside of those leaves. Okay, now that we've dried our leaves and we're ready for the pretty bright red that we're going to put in there, I want to get floating medium on my number 12 flat and side stroke some apple red. All right, so see how we're just side loading, and that's with floating medium, all right? So now you're going to come, remember here's your V, you're going to come right here, and you're going to go all the way around. The floating medium is going to be helping you float around here, all right? And I'm going to come out here again. Okay, it's not moving for me, so I'm going to go get more medium. Floating medium on there, so that when I come around and do the red, we have apple red, floating medium. That's all that's on here. Okay, so more apple red. Ugh, more floating medium. I can't believe it's taking up so much floating medium. Maybe because I just dried it, and so it might be still warm. There we go. See how that looks? And some of it's going to have the window style against it, or over it. Okay, all the way around. I've seen these painted all types of ways. I just came up with one that we can achieve and gives you this great look with little patience, okay? All right, so I did come in here a little bit with sap green on here and take that into those leaves a little bit. All right, now geraniums have these fun little detail stems that come up, and so I like to use the script liner with those lots of times. And you can see right here I did one cluster that I like that comes up and it has a little sprouts from there of green stems, and you do some leaves on that, but these little guys hang below it. All right, and then some curls for like new growth. So what I did was I'm going to take a little bit of sap green. I had a little bit of water moisture in there, and then streak through the citrus green. All right, so I do paint these flowers first and then come back and do little stems on it, but I want you to see that this one could be little stems like that. And then in other spots I came up and curled it, where I put a little dot and another little dot and pulled them in. So it's kind of like these little guys here that I'm showing you, little comma strokes, are going to hang from underneath here. They hang from the bottom part of this, and sometimes those are red, so they would be the apple red. All right, see the little stems from under there? All right, so we are going to go ahead and paint the rest of them in here first. All right. Yeah, let's paint them and then we'll see what we need. So now we're going to get apple red and a little bit, if you look at apple red and a touch of licorice. So I'm going to touch a little bit of licorice on one corner, apple red, and I'm just going to go over here and work it in. Now that's a lot of licorice. So I'm going to wipe some of that off, but then I still have some on there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to little teeny stroke. So this is the stroke. You push and you lift up. And the dark is in the middle. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one, we're going to add a teeny bit of yellow. All right. So I have too much licorice here, but we have red and yellow. And then I pick up red and we do some little ones down here, red. And also these little guys here, you can do with a liner or you can do chisel edge. These little guys that are hanging underneath. All right. So I am going to wipe this off. Okay. And keep it there so you remember what we're doing. That's going to help you. And I had gotten too much licorice, right? So I'm going to take off a little bit of that. And let's get a little bit more red in here. So what I did in the middle here is I did the apple red more in here. I just filled in these little areas. And I overlap them. It's not as full as hydrangea, but it does have the overlapping qualities where you can just do little clusters. All right, let's come down here. I'll pick up a little bit of yellow. All right, see how the yellow looks in there? It makes it a little bit brighter. And sometimes I make them a little bit of white so they have a pinky tone to it. So you decide. I just love the blue and red together. And a little bit of licorice gives you depth. So see, that's a really pretty cluster of geraniums. And then I'm going to come out here and put a few little ones with more yellow. All right. All right, so now we're going to go up here to these little clusters up here. All right, so those, I like that they're opened up a little bit that way. But let's put a stronger apple red on there, a little bit stronger. All right, so we get that fresh growth with a little bit of yellow, I think. So you see I'm a little loose on some of those. So we get that little bit of loose, small petals. Little. Okay, a little bit up here. And you might notice I'm not doing full shell strokes. I'm doing pushing it up, pushing up, pushing up. All right. All right, and then a little bit goes over here, but it'd be under the curtain. But you could still see that there's something under there, so let's just put a few of these here. And when I do the curtain, you'll see a little bit of that over there. And you wouldn't see some of these flowers that are hanging over this side of the basket. But that'll be good because all this is really showing will be in front. There we go. All right. So I can come. I noticed that that one's quite a bit lighter. And that looks a lot darker here. I can get a little bit of that citrus color, the citrus green and wicker white there. Then I came back and I can do a little bit of that lighter mix around here just to brighten it up a little bit. And I can do the same thing over here, which just means the citrus green has some white blended in. Okay, so there we go. I just put a couple of little teeny dots with my script liner. So we're going to take a little bit of that moon yellow that I put inside the blue flowers. Thick paint, not inky. And I'm just dotting the centers of this, okay? And that makes it pop a little bit. We get a little bit more yellow. Okay, so I want to work on the curtains, but I have to dry this. So I'm going to ask you to pause and go dry yours and be ready so that we can put our see-through little curtain, sheer curtain over this. All right? Isn't that great? Oh, one more thing. Let's put a little bit of the floating medium and blue here to deepen this color before we put anything else here. All right, so I'm going to take floating medium on the 3/4 inch flat. All right, and I'm going to get some of the Prussian blue, and I'm going to come right along here and deepen that a little bit there. See how nice that is? It gives you a little bit of depth in there. Touch it on paper towel because the medium's too wet. And that'll help you. All right, so I want more along here. And so since the only thing it's going to be showing is right here, I want you to see that I did come along here a little bit. A little bit of darker around here. And it gives more depth where it looks like it's more rounded. And a little bit of the Prussian blue right there. And right there. The only thing I have to do is clean this up right here. See how that just gave it a lift there? Okay, so let's dry this and then I can get started on our curtains, okay? Okay, so before I do the curtains, I realize I do need the window styles in here, and I do have to put that wrought iron piece coming through here. I'm just going to stop it somewhere into the flowers so it's got that even 4 hangers, okay? So one thing you can do is lay your ruler across here so that you're getting an idea of where that's going to go, and that's going to help you. All right, so I'm going to come right along here. And I'm probably going to stop right at that red blossom there because then it could go behind that. All right. And there we are. So that's in there. You can also put a little white highlight, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. It could be with the chisel edge of one of the brushes. Okay, so I want to share with you what I just did to get the window styles in here, is that I figured out this is 14 inches long, so I found the center, which would be 7. And then this is a 1/2 inch, so a 1/4 inch on both sides of that 7 mark is what I did on both sides. So that when you could tape it and everything, but I'm just going to fill in like I did this. It made it pretty simple. And then half of this is 10, so 10 and a half, so 5 1/4. And then I did the 1/4 inch on both of those. All right, so now all I'm going to do with this, I penciled it instead of chalking so it's more accurate. And then I'm going to get my white on my 3/4. And because I can put a teeny bit of water because it's been sitting here a little bit. This is my wicker white. And I'm going to follow my line by chisel edging this line, okay? All right. I'm going to come right here too and go right along the line. All right, this might take a couple coats to get it a nice clean wicker white. I'm going to take both sides here and get a nice chisel. All right, so then I add an angle, not flat, but as an angle, I pull in here and fill this in. But it's definitely going to need another coat. All right, and so we're going to come here. More white. I got a little over on here, so I just want to clean that up. What's nice about this paint is that when it dries, it leaves a really forgiving surface so that you can go back and touch it up. All right, so now we're going to come right along here, get a nice clean edge there, and go back on this side a little bit. All right, so now, like I said, I need a really good white here. All right, so let's get some more wicker white, and I can just put it on a plate. Get a nice clean brush here. Now I do want this dry before I do the curtain. So I'm going to continue to do this. Get it nice and coated. And then make sure I don't have any big ridges in there. Come back. We got lots of steps, don't we, guys? So you guys go dry this, finish yours, dry it, and come join me in a minute, okay? Okay, so now that this is dry, I want to go ahead one more time and check our curtain, because what we're doing on the curtain is we're coming out the 3 inches from, it's 3.5 inches from the side here, and it goes down to, what was that, 4 inches? Yeah, 4 inches from here is where the tie is, all right? So 4 inches from here is where the tie is. That one's still in the right place. All right, so then when I came down here, I came to where the tie is, and I came down here to where the tie is. And then I just poofed this out just a little bit. On this side a little bit more, I think. But so now we've got that all blocked in. But this is what I want to show you, that we're going to take this wicker white and some floating medium with a 3/4 inch flat brush. And the first thing I did, without adding any grays to it, I came in and made a milky, floating medium, milky mix. All right. So what happens here is I just went in this chalk. Now the chalk leaves a little bit of a gritty residue that some people worry about, but I tell them not to worry, that it's going to dry up. That's just the feel from, or the look from the floating medium. Okay. So see, now it's a sheer that is going to have a few wrinkles or folds in it. Not wrinkles, but folds. All right. And we're going to go back and forth and fill that in. All right. So I did this a few times till I got the coverage that I wanted. So we're going to start here and go right over everything that we just did right there to make it look natural. All that would be kind of behind there. All right. Now you'll see that that white's not a good coverage yet. All right. So I'm going to come from here. Okay. So see, that chalks a little bit there. All right. So now I'm going to get a little bit more white. A little bit more. See how I get the folds in that curtain? All right, so I'm getting a little bit better each time. It's still not this yet, if you look at that. Make those little folds across there. All right. So now what happens here is that I'm going to add just a teeny bit of licorice. Now we want to just, that's probably enough for the whole thing. So we're going to come in here and just have little bits of this gray so that you can just see movement in the curtains, okay? So you would see it up here. See where the curtain is gathered up here. And it goes off the edge over here. And I take, oops, so see, that's very black. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So if this happens, which this is a good thing to show you, this is all that chalk. So I am going to go ahead and take some of that off because it's just not, it's more than I wanted to be on there. So then I can still go in here with the shear and have it come in here. But we need the little bits of gray. So first thing I'm going to do is pull this tie. All right, it's a sheer tie, so it's not supposed to be real exact, like opaque anyway. It's going to be more transparent. See the gray there? So the key is up here. You're going to get those gray marks. There you go. All right, so you'll see how you can just see through. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 3/4 inch brush that I cleaned off, got some floating medium, and there's a little bit of shading I want to do first. All right, so I want to take a little teeny bit of this medium gray mix that I made, and I'm going to come, let me show you. I'm going to come right along here. Okay. And then I'm going to come right here on both sides. All right, and then up here. I'm going to make sure I go on this side too because I want it to be shaded in the right place, which would be on this side. All right, so we're going to come right along here. Just have enough that it really, there we go. All right, and I need to clean this off right here. I got a little high there so that this is nice and white. And I have a few spots I need to touch up, so you might too. All right, so now what's going to happen is where the curtain is, I just put a little bit of the Prussian blue with medium. Prussian blue. And I'm going to get a spot going here so that you have that color along with some good medium. So we're going to get floating medium after we get that mix ready, and then we're just going to come along here, and that's going to make that curtain stand out even better. Okay, and same thing happens up here. And that's going to give it dimension. See, there we go. All right, so I do have a little bit of residue right here, so I can go along here and take a little bit of that out, okay? All right, let's bring the blue over here. So we're medium, floating medium, and Prussian blue. All right, so we're going to go right along here. And right in here. Some more Prussian blue. I've got floating medium still. Okay. Now I think I'm ready to put our word in here. And we took the word right onto the curtain, so we filled in this whole blank, this whole pane there to make that work. All right, I chipped that up a little bit. Okay, so let's go look at our letter and how to make this letter happen, this home word, so that we have a nice sentiment on top of our project. And what's nice about this is it gives you another nice piece to go on your hometown wall. We're going to take our transfer. We're going to have tracing paper and graphite. All right, so there's lots of different homes, all kinds of different homes in here, but Chris picked one that we like to go on here. And see the pretty style of lettering it is. So what you do is you take your tracing paper, you're going to put this right on here. You're going to take like a permanent marker and trace it. So then we keep our patterns. This is your pattern inside your hometown kit. And you have many different words and phrases, so it's really wonderful. And then, so this one's already been painted so that you can see the process to get this shading. So, excuse me. See all the pretty shading here? So it's highlighted with black. It is black. It's highlighted with medium gray and then a little wisp of a little bit of white in that medium gray. All right. So it's kind of like a cursive. And so you can see this has all been traced on here and ready for us. All right. So we're going to then take our 2 script liner. And this was traced on with this. I'm sorry. I want to make sure you see this. We take the graphite paper with the shiny side down. I'm going to put this on here. And then you're going to decide where this goes first. So after you decide where this goes, you tape it on so that when you lift it, you're going to be able to lift it and look and see how you're doing. I might even use a little bit more tape than that, but that holds it steady. Then you take your stylus and we're going to go along here and trace this on. So it's just exactly, see how we measured? It's exactly where we wanted it. All right. And then you are ready to paint. So this is one of the easier lettering pieces where we're taking some licorice and our 2 script liner, and I'm going to make it a little inky. You don't want it too pasty when you're trying to fill this in. All right. So the key is to outline. So I've got a nice 2 script liner. The key is to outline, and then we're going to fill in. And so this is all outlined already, ready for you. All right. So then we're going to come in here and fill in the whole area. And that outlining just helps you keep within the lines. And the script liner is kind of nice because it will push down. Look, as I come here, I can push down and fill that whole area. It's a really good liner. Okay, so and turn it around so it's comfortable for you to get to. All right, so we're going to come down here. And we're just going to fill in all of this area. And it might take a couple strokes to fill it in. See how I can push it down a little harder and get that really nice complete line in there. See how that border keeps you from making it go out of the lines. It makes it really nice. Okay, so black, which is the licorice, is the main color. And then we're going to accent it. Okay. Now I'm going to make a gray mix, and so I'm going to take out some of that licorice and pick up the wicker white and see, you want something in between the two. We don't want it white, but we want some gray in there. All right, and some spots, even a little bit of white shades of gray. All right, so let's go up here to this one that's already been painted earlier. So you're going to push down and brush it. And if you get carried away, you can take and bring a little bit more licorice back on it. That's got too much paint, so let's dry brush this and let you see. All right, that's better. See, it starts streaking a little bit better. There we go. See, it's more of a dry brush look. So brush off some of it before you start going over the black lettering. All right, so it gets a nice brush effect, and now you can see you need more. A little bit around here. and brush this over. So if you got too heavy, right here is too heavy, and this guy's too heavy, I can take the black licorice color and go back over it a little bit. Lighten that up a little bit. And also right here. All right. All I had was just too much paint on this liner when I started, okay? So we want that dry brush look, and then a little wisp of white can go on there. Little teeny bit of white, and I'll wipe it off some. Little bits. Okay, so this makes you feel like a pro when you're lettering, and it's all the steps that I just go for it and I don't sit down and trace it all out and do it. I do now, but I never had did before. And so all these little tricks that Chris teaches with her lettering is amazing, which makes me look like I'm really better than I am. I'm still not like the master, but let me tell you, I'm 100% better than I was. All right. So there's your home. You can outline solid licorice on the one side if you want to, but a lot of that black is already there. So all the licorice colors are already there. I love painting this home, and I can't wait to put it on my canvas and then hang it in my home. So we painted in the studio today some vivid, beautiful flowers, and this time of the year, I love having the hanging baskets with bright colors, and the geranium leaves just topped it all. And if you look at that cute little hummingbird, he seemed to like it also. What do you think? I'd like to also invite you to the Let's Paint with Plaid Facebook group, where artists go on and share their paintings that they've done with the Plaid group all year long. And I would love for you to come there and share your picture. To do that, please post #Let'sPaintChallenge. So until next month, where we're going to be painting a great August project, which has an ombre background and poppies. We're going to learn poppies. Doesn't that sound fun? I'll see you then.